we are doing something. We are going to talk ADP because Rob made a spreadsheet basically calculating the price of different team stacks. So we're going to talk about that just for a little bit. And we're going to see everything. Am I drunk? No, I'm not drunk. Just generally lost and confused. Are those Beats? I'm sitting here with $20 headphones. Rob has the studio Beats by Dre. That's fine. I'll be a second-class citizen. I'll be a peasant. I'll use my Jib XT headphones. Can you hear me?
Really? All right, give me 1 second here. Who do you think I look like? Who do you think I look like with this beard that I'm growing out?
Well, the sweatshirt is Belichick.
The sweatshirt's the sweatshirt's Belichick because obviously the sleeves are cut off.
Who do you look? I don't know. Nothing's clicking right now. Who do you think you look like?
I've been getting it multiple times that I look like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
That's cool to me.
I have mixed feelings about it, but that's supposedly what I've been told.
Wow. Well, it's kind of weird now that I've seen it. I can't unsee it. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck me, right? The one guy that in a blog last year, I literally wrote in it, I'm ranking Aaron Rodgers low because I hate the way he fucking looks.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I couldn't have been more wrong on Rodgers. And the irony is the one best ball league I win on, FFPC, I won by 1 point in week 17 thanks to Rodgers, Devontae stack. And now I kind of like Aaron Rodgers just because I want him to be a dick to the Packers. I think it'd be funny.
Well, on that note, all the odds last week shifted on DraftKings for everything negative against Green Bay. I mean, for them to win the division, for them to win the Super Bowl, et cetera, every odd slip. So
just because you didn't go to whatever the fuck they're doing right now,
OTAs.
So that wasn't already baked in at all. So the odds are still shifting.
Oh yeah, I mean the odds are shifting. Actually, they shifted more last week than they've shifted any of the last six. Well, I shouldn't say that because post draft, there was obviously a big fluctuation, but since the draft, I mean, there really hasn't been much else. It's been pretty steady. Okay, I'm just getting everything set up here. Oh shit.
Okay.
So just in case this video ends up getting published, I feel like I should go get my Pikachu, put it in the back.
Yeah, do it.
Caleb, no, don't touch that.
Just grabs it, does the.
Honestly, I wouldn't be completely shocked.
Dude,
shit.
Oh my god.
Kato, don't touch that fucking Pika. Don't touch that Pika.
That thing, for some reason, just looks like it's alive.
Yeah, it does. Some may say it's childish, but it's actually strategic.
Well, my strategy is to be a child, so I think it all fits together.
Do we want to try to do this? I'm not nearly as analytically sharp as I typically would be because my peak
Well,
is.
let's make this like a um, just like a quick introduction, and then I'll just put a bunch of it on social media and some cool aspect. But um, basically, it's just you quantified the drafting capital needed for these certain stacks, right, for different teams.
Yeah, so I mean, pretty much what I wanted to do was just create a high level analysis that identifies the cost of team stacking and value, right? So I mean, it's pretty much how do you do that? I mean, we know that really the cost when drafting is ADP, average draft position, but relative to stacks, team stacks. How do you actually quantify drafting multiple players for the same team? So what I did, and I mean very simply, was by team taking the average draft cost, right, of selecting or drafting the first four players based off of draft order for a particular team, and then I just rank them, and then I rank them by cost, right? One being the most expensive, so the highest ADP cost for four players from one team, and then 32 being the least costly. So, are we sharing screen right now?
I fucking hate Zoom. All right, how do I do this again? Remember, I figured it out before.
I don't know.
Participants,
I think you.
more. Let's see. We'll figure this out. Sorry, Australia.
Can you see it?
Oh yeah, it's out there.
Is it pretty large for you to be able to see?
Oh, it's pretty large to see.
Okay.
It's right in
Well,
my face.
yeah. And what we're gonna do, I should have put all this on separate tabs, but instead
God,
we're just gonna eliminate that data set so that way we're only looking at one thing. But as I was saying, I mean, all this is trying to figure out a very high from a very high level how to be able to actually quantify team stacks. I mean, in best ball, we know what stacks are. That being getting more than one player from a given team. Within this analysis, it's focusing on the average draft capital of selecting the first four players based off of ADP on a given team. So, like for example, right now, and then it's sorted by cost, and then we have the first five picks in this column just for reference. So it's ranked based off of most costly to least costly. So very first example, right? We have the most costly team to be able to stack, which really isn't even feasible, right? Which is Kansas City. Kansas City, Travis Kelce, average draft pick, 7.6, Tyreek Hill, 9.3, CEH, 21.5, Patrick Mahomes, 35.5, Miko Hardman, 111, right? So that just being the average of the first four players that are taken is 18.475, which right here we have is 18.5. So does that make sense? We'll do just
Oh yeah. Yep.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
One more example, just real quick. We're gonna do. I don't know why I did that. Dallas. So Dallas is the second most expensive. Zeke, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, top four. 33 average draft position. So that's 2.8 rounds, and then you do five players, including Michael Gallup, and that takes you to let's see here, 44.5, which is 3.7. So really all it's capturing is to say, okay, this is if you're to select all these players from uh, a given team, the first four, this is what the average cost based off of a round or a draft pick would be, right?
Yeah. And I mean, to me, it's just a great visual, like to be able to visualize, like, because you do the drafts and you'd be like, okay, this stack's cheap, but to visualize it like this, I think it's just really cool to have it handy and just to like see which teams stick out and like, okay, does this make sense? Does like what's interesting about it?
Yeah, I mean it's again, I mean you're taking an average of an average, which everyone will always frown upon that. But the average of the average being your ADP of individual players, and then taking an average of ADP of individual players. But it does visually capture.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a frame of reference thing. Like, it's just to look at and like for whatever your purposes are for it when you're drafting, you just like New England is last. Like, that's pretty interesting. Is there any way to exploit that? And like the one that still stands out to me is Miami, and which we've already been exploiting that. But out of all those teams, Miami's the one that could have. I mean, Miami's down by nearly by Detroit,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is
So actually, I had teams just in the bottom 10 here, right? That are I mean, really popping off as just the least expensive, and which teams look like situations that you would want to target if you're going to target them. And I had Miami, I had Indianapolis, and then I also had those are really the only two. And then
yeah.
the Giants are just kind of like, yeah, maybe, but I mean, Danny Dimes is still their quarterback, so I mean that's always going to give you a sour feeling.
Yeah, I'm so glad you put it like that because that is exactly what I said. Miami, like in my head, I said Miami, Indy, and like I kind of had the Giants there, and like I was almost considering the Jets, just but I don't want to stack like the other ones you could stack like the Giants, as your like third or whatever team stack. If you start Barkley, you pick up Galladay late, grab. I actually drafted Daniel Jones because he was like literally like it was like the 16th round or something. So I just grabbed him as my QB3 because I already had those two. But yeah, I mean, but Indianapolis and Miami, those are two teams that I think could be like top 7 offenses fairly consistently if things break right. Not a huge
Yeah,
believer, but
yeah. I mean, you like, I mean, uh, the difference the difference between Miami and Indianapolis, at least to me, is I mean, at least with Indianapolis, like if you're gonna stack that, then I mean, again, playing it from the standpoint that you're going to be taking four players, at least you're getting a stud. Like I mean, you're getting the workhorse. You're getting Jonathan Taylor, whereas the the big difference between these two is the first player that's being drafted right now is for Miami's Myles Gaskin, and I mean he's going
yeah,
in the
so they're kind of completely different. It's like they're spread out just way differently.
yeah. So I mean, actually, I can pull this over. So when you look at those two separate teams right here, you have Myles Gaskin who's going. I mean, he's going early fifth round, and then it's just actually good value in my opinion. This is where the value is really at.
Yeah.
From
Whichever
my
one of those guys slips, that's who I'm usually like fine taking any of the three in best ball.
Yep, and I mean we've brought up Devontae Parker already. I mean Jalen, and liking Devontae Parker and liking the ADP, thinking that that's a value because he's already established himself. But I mean Jalen Waddle, chemistry with Tua, and then Will Fuller. I mean just emerged and broke out last year. But like for me, if I'm stacking Miami, I would rather just not have Myles Gaskin. I'd rather just have all of these wide receivers and maybe get Gesicki, and then you're just scooping up Tua late. Whereas Indianapolis, it's like, okay, Jonathan Taylor, and then you're just talking about a huge gap, man. I mean, 100 picks. I mean,
Yeah, and
100 picks,
I mean, I didn't
eight and a
even.
half rounds, eight and a half, eight and a half rounds until the next Indianapolis player goes off the board.
Yeah, because it's basically it's doing the thing where it's pricing them all like, I mean, who's going to be the number one, or just how's that offense going to shake out if they're not, if the offense is decent, if it's top 50, even if it's just top 15, those guys should all be a little bit higher, especially if you think like if it is going to be a quote unquote committee by receiver, which I believe they're one of the teams that like sub in like receiver packages. So like all the receivers don't get like a lot of as much playing time as other teams' receivers. I think Indy might be one of those teams. There's like 2 or 3 teams that does that. And but
Yeah,
still, like Paris Campbell, I mean, if he stays healthy, he's just going him and Christian Kirk just feel like 2 rounds too late.
yeah, and when you actually just look at these two different teams, the difference is, I mean, any one of these wide receivers very well could like maybe scratch tier 1 wide receiver territory, whereas all of these receivers, Michael Pittman, T.Y. Hilton, Paris Campbell, like, yeah, maybe they get there, but you just don't feel fear, or fear. You don't feel
I
nearly as
do
good
fear
about it.
Ty. Yeah, no, yeah, yeah, that's true. Like any given week, I mean, we'll see what Waddle can do, but Will Fuller, we know, could be literally the number one wide receiver any given week. And I mean, I don't like what did Devontae Parker? I literally don't remember what Devontae Parker. I just don't trust what the Dolphins did offensively last year. Like we saw it before from Devontae Parker. He looked like a top guy,
Yep,
and I don't like that.
he
Like
was
what
hurt.
happened?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
and their offense was just all messed up. Like it was all jacked up last year.
he was a little bit banged up. I mean, then they were playing the balance game between Fitzpatrick and also Tua. I mean, let's not forget there were multiple weeks where Miami was down and Tua was the quarterback, and then they brought in
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick. Like
Yep.
it was just weird. It was just weird.
Yeah.
But
That's really really interesting
but the
juxtaposing those two teams.
right. But I mean, really, those are like to me the two teams that I mean really pop out from the bottom 10 that like I would be interested in.
And you know who else pops out to me? Buffalo. Buffalo being that low.
So let's so the first step of this analysis was literally just to be able to create a visual, right? To be able to say, okay, numerically, I mean, let's at least have something to be able to visually look at to get an understanding of cost of teams and stacking that we think that we know just based off of volume drafting, degenerate volume drafting. The second step of it was to say, okay, how can we create a visual to be able to identify some sort of value? How do you do that? Based off of historical so historical or future. But what I then did was just made a comparison to say, okay, based off of based off of last year, who were the teams? What teams? Because if you're targeting stacks, then you're targeting ultimately what you believe are going to be some of the best scoring positions in fantasy, based off a team, right? So all I did was just take last year's total fantasy points that were scored by team for the quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end positions, just the total macro perspective. And then I rank that in order which is column AB, and then column AC is the ranking of figure 2, which we just looked at, which is the 4-pick stack rank, right? So based off this, I mean, it's really easy to say, okay, where are there major differences between who the top scoring offenses were last year, relative to fantasy, and then where their stack cost is currently today on Underdog. So where there are those greatest differences in yellow, that's to say, okay, their current cost is way lower than where they were from a fantasy production standpoint last year. And I mean, we can go through those just to be able to get an understanding to say, okay, yeah, there's something that's priced in based off of what's going on with that team, and it makes sense, or quite frankly, it just doesn't make any fucking sense, and that's an area to be able to capitalize on, to be able to target, because there's mispricing in the marketplace. So just like you said, Josh, when you look at this, and again, focusing on the yellow, anything big negative numbers, that's going to be where there are the largest discrepancies in value that we would want to target. I mean, but Buffalo and Tampa are the two that, I mean, they're just jumping off the page like crazily. I mean, you think about Buffalo, and me even being someone who's drafting all the time, like, you think to yourself, oh man, it's an expensive stack, which it is an expensive stack if you're just getting Josh Allen, you're getting Diggs, because you're spending a second round pick and really a fourth round pick. But after that, you're talking about huge drop off.
Oh yeah, I mean, Gabriel Davis is, 10th, 11th round from what I recall. He's right near Cole Beasley. So I mean, I'm pretty sure you can get both those guys pretty easily.
Yep. So I actually have it. I thought I had it up right here, which I actually don't. I'm gonna pull up this just so we have it to be able to reference. And then I'm gonna blow it up for our grandpa 9 o'clock eyes. So when you look at Buffalo right here, I mean, you're talking, okay, or just like we said, one of the first couple picks in the second round, Diggs, Josh Allen, end of the fourth round, and then it goes Zach Moss. I mean, that's early ninth. That's early ninth round, and then we get Cole Beasley. That's early 11th round, and then we're talking what 12th round, early 12th round for Gabriel Davis. So it's like one of those things specifically with Buffalo, where one avenue from a theory perspective, which could just return immense values if you don't get that Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen stack. I mean, but you say you get Josh Allen, then I mean, get Zach Moss, get Cole Beasley, get Gabriel Davis. Just have a couple of those teams.
Yeah, and I think what needs to be said, I think this is the key point about like this type of stuff, is like we're viewing this through the lens, like, yeah, for leagues too, but like for best ball tournaments, like,
yeah, this is 100% best ball.
You are playing, like, when you're drafting a best ball team, every time you draft a team, to me, it's like you're telling a story, like, what is the scenario where this team wins? And if it's one team where, like, using that Buffalo example, okay, we just got a great value on Josh Allen. Now, just like thinking about it this way, it's like, okay, now I know, like, we might as well, if we get to this point in the draft and there's no one we really like, that, if it's like, I don't know, Cole Beasley's there, Gabriel Davis is there, you already have Josh Allen. You're kind of committed to this story of like this team, in a sense, at least needs some, is playing the scenario of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, again, being good like they were last year. So that's the scenario you just need to lean into it a little more. So it's like when you're building your team, yeah, there's a lot of other, look at value, don't force the stacks. But at the same time, like if you're doing best ball tournaments and you want the high leverage situations, you got to kind of lean into just know that Cole Beasley there, Gabriel Davis there. Just, I
Year
mean,
year
that's
two.
your path. That's your path to victory is hitting that exact upside that of those certain weeks with those guys, those stacks.
Yep, the narrative where I mean Stephon Diggs or Buffalo still for next year they end up being a top 5 offense again. Stephon Diggs misses say I don't know half the season, and that production gets absorbed some by Zach Moss who overtakes Devin Singletary, and then Cole Beasley in second year Gabriel Davis, who we have no idea really what his ceiling looks like. But regardless of, I mean, even if you got Josh Allen and you got and you had Stephon Diggs, I mean, if you're going heavy team, three, 4 players from a given team, like that's still not expensive. It's not
Yeah.
like that's not an expensive team. Like four pick team to be able to assemble compared to the field, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're still talking cheaper than let's see, still talking cheaper than Green Bay with the uncertainty of Aaron Rodgers, Carolina, Philadelphia, Tampa Bay. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
value either way.
And it actually, like Tampa versus Buffalo is another good example, like comparing, because I think Antonio Brown's still going like in the 10th round. Like, I don't know if you've done a draft in recent days, but I thought he was literally going
10th,
like in the
11th,
10th,
yeah.
which that's right. Cole Beasley, Gabriel Davis range. So it's like, okay, maybe you land on a Tom Brady value, Tom Brady slip. In that scenario, it's like, consider that Antonio Brown stack over Cole Beasley, right? Like, or if you have Josh Allen, it's like, I want to play the upside. If you need that upside, depending on your team or however you want to look at it, it's like you might as well take that upside chance of that stack.
Yep.
So that's just deciding between two players. Obviously, like we said, jumbo margarita draft. We talked, the situation came up, value versus stack. Definitely don't need to force a stack, but in a situation where it's literally like this guy or this guy,
Yeah, I'm stacking.
take
Yeah.
the stack. Be aware of the stack. Just looking at these things, I think, makes you constantly aware of the stacking opportunities. And Jesus, we're already to the point where we're thinking like interdivision correlations. So
Yep. 100%. I mean, I'll be completely honest. After like, I knew just based off of drafting that Tampa Bay was cheap. Just because I mean, you're getting Mike Evans in the early fourth. You're getting Chris Godwin in the fourth as well. But when you see when you actually just look at this and you say, okay, I mean, Tampa Bay was the third highest scoring fantasy team last year, and they just won the Super Bowl, and they're returning literally every single starter, and they're being priced as the 19th team for if you're to stack it. I mean,
yeah, it doesn't make sense.
shame on me for, I mean, pretty much just avoiding it just because I don't like Tampa Bay players.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the
That's the
same
reason.
as Miami. Like Miami, I've never been a Tua guy, but if you can get Miami, like you're getting the Miami stack, even if it's just a skinny with Tua, Devontae Parker, like just that skinny stack. You can't tell me that Devontae Parker can have a 2 touchdown game, week 15, 16, 17. Same with Tampa Bay. Like I haven't been, we haven't been having conversations about Tom Brady. Like we're not going nuts about Tampa, but you don't even need to be that bullish. I mean, because they just fall into your lap. Like the Tom Brady, like how many times I can tell you almost every draft, like Chris Godwin, I could get Chris Godwin if I want Chris Godwin.
Yes.
Like Chris Godwin, he's just like in that range where he's available. So like if you want that stack, you get Chris Godwin, you can get Brady. And then man, the Antonio Brown thing, Yeah, Tampa's just weird. Tampa's weird to me because like it just fits together too well in the sense that they started slow last year, came on really strong, and now everyone's like, well, now they're all healthy. Now what do you think? Like, I feel like everyone's bullish on the idea,
It's
but it's
it,
not
it's
playing out that way in drafts.
it's it's not exciting. It's it's not exciting to the fantasy community. That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I think
The,
it's,
the
but
team the team
yeah,
that the team that just Tampa Bay last year was perceived as more exciting to the fantasy community than Tampa Bay this year because
yeah.
it was
Well, and
Tom
I also
Brady.
think it's a best ball versus redraft thing where it's like redraft. I kind of get it. Like redraft, starting any Tampa Bay skill player any single week is like kind of scary unless they become like true elite offense, which they could. But like if they're scoring 35, but they were basically averaging that in the final weeks last year. But that's what it will take to get to the point where you're comfortable starting all three of those guys, right? And a Gronk tight end and a Fournette, like. But in best ball, you don't need to worry about that. Like you just get those pieces because they're all cheap
Yeah,
compared to the
yeah.
upside.
Yeah, Tampa's going to be a situation where I mean, in no way is it going to be an Arizona or a Rams type situation where I'm just pressing draft pretty much every single time that they come my way. But I will make sure that in some of the tournament formats like Best Ball Mania that I'm going to be getting a couple shares of team stacks just because I mean it's obviously popping off the page as a value here.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me that Miami, like, so I'm just reading this as I know. I mean, I understand there's more. It's more nuanced than that, but I'm just for simplicity reasons, I'm reading it as like an overvalued, undervalued compared to last year. I mean, that's kind of one way to put it. And like Miami compared to last year, which at the very least they're going to be more productive, fantasy productivity than last year. Like just even if they suck, like they're going to be throwing more. There's going to be more points, and they're still being drafted below last year's production from a stack standpoint. So
Right.
that's like,
Right. No, no, no. I completely agree. I think something else that's just interesting to hit on. I mean, aside from like values that you would like to target, is situations that are actually like properly priced, either by like player uncertainty. I mean, mostly just player uncertainty. Like Green Bay. I mean, this wouldn't be the situation for Green Bay if Aaron Rodgers pretty much, if he wouldn't have said that he wants out of Green Bay. Looking at New Orleans, I mean the uncertainty of who's going to be the quarterback, but at the same time, on DraftKings odds, I mean it's continuing to get stronger that Winston's going to be the starting quarterback week one. But I mean that's pretty well priced in. Houston being, I mean, priced in overall as a team. I mean, at the bottom. I mean, based off of Watson and just their other surrounding pieces not looking good. Arizona, this is this is obviously not as a significant of a misprice as Tampa or Buffalo, but I'm still going to call this a misprice. I'm still going to say that this is just a great situation to be able to target, because the question that you just want to be asking yourself is what are these team stacks that you want to target, that you really believe could be, say, top five offenses. And I mean, Arizona last
yeah,
year, relative to fantasy, I mean, they were the 11th best overall fantasy scoring team, and they're being priced overall this year as the 15th. Second year, Hopkins, Kyler, Kirk in the slot, Rondell Moore, AJ Green on the outside. Like to me, it's just another backing point for our love for Arizona.
yeah, yeah, and that is, I mean, that's the thing about Arizona. They're just the stacks. They just seem to come naturally. They just fit together so nice, especially with the Rams. And what was the other thing? Oh, Cincinnati standing out. Cincinnati is the biggest change from compared to last year's finish, where they're being drafted. Which, yeah, I mean that would make sense. That's fine.
Yeah. So one thing, I'm glad that you hit on that, Josh. So like I put all of these situations as priced in hype costs, really versus construction. And what I mean by that, I mean focusing specifically on Cincinnati. Cincinnati, where are they at? Yeah, I mean they're at the bottom because obviously Burrow last year didn't play the entire season, but they're seventh. They're seventh in highest cost to be able to stack the first four picks, and but that's really expensive. But from a construction standpoint, like it could still work because you're going to be getting Joe. I mean, Joe Mixon's really the only like high expenditure, and I like for some of these situations where they're expensive teams to target, where it's like there's one pick of that team, say in the first two rounds, but then it's you have really of your first three picks, only one player that's going to be from that team. So you're able to get at least two other really strong stud pieces from other teams as differentiation. So like an opposite example of that is Kansas City, right? I mean, if you want Kansas City, you're going to be spending 1, 2, and 3. You're going to be spending
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3 every single time to be able to get Kansas City. Whereas Cincinnati and the Rams being the exact same thing, pretty much. It's like, okay, get Mixon, get Akers, get two other really strong pieces. Then you can get a Robert Woods, you can get a Jamar Chase, you can get a Cooper Kupp, you can get a T Higgins. Like these situations are just dead nuts. Where I mean, if they both provide you the flexibility to go one or the other.
Yes. I mean, that is, yeah. I mean, those are the stacks. And because it's just like,
but it's a hype price.
yeah.
It is. It is a hyped price.
Well, the thing about Cincinnati too is like it's hype. I mean, I think we love Joe and more than most people, but like Cincinnati, it is absolutely those three guys. Like if you look at the Rams, like I think, after the two receivers, I think there's gonna be a lot of fuckery in there. Like, well, first of all, Van Jefferson should be going ahead of Deshaun Jackson, looking at that now. But just from beyond that, like for Cincinnati, there's no one else. Like you go through some of these teams, there's 4 or 5. And Cincinnati, it's those three. So it kind of makes sense that like they're expensive in that sense. Like there's no one late. Like Auden Tate's going undrafted. Like no one's drafting Auden Tate. Whereas the Rams have like 3. I mean, even Tutu Atwell's getting drafted. So like that's just kind of interesting from that point. Like, why are they expensive? Like, yes, they're expensive, but like even in an off week, Tyler Boyd's getting 3 for 38, which for an 8th round pick when he slips, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think too that these guys are all priced as high as they are. I mean, Boyd and Higgins have had the production. I mean, Chase obviously. I mean, first wide receiver being drafted, but they all have like, I mean, clear wide receiver one upside potential. And I think that is a part of it that is priced in. Comparatively, like I mean, like I do like having like a small portion of Cincinnati, but if you're to compare these two costs of teams, to me it's not even close. In that I'm gonna go the Rams 10 out of 10 times. I'm gonna do that because I have top five Super Bowl odds in my favor. I have top five MVP odds in my favor in Stafford. And whereas opposed to Cincinnati, like that's more of just playing like, okay, first year Jamar Chase hype. Like I know he's really really good, but that's still hype. Like Joe Burrow,
That's pretty high for a rookie receiver. Like I'm way like to me
yeah,
the T Higgins slip is where it's at with Cincinnati. If you get the T Higgins slip, I'll take
agreed,
that value.
agreed. But also for the Rams, it's and we've talked about it. The teams within the division that they're going to be playing twice. I mean, they're going to be playing the Seahawks twice. That's probably going to be expected to be high scoring. They're going to be playing the 49ers twice, expected to be high scoring. They're going to play the Cardinals twice, expected to be high scoring. Cincinnati, they're going to be going up against three of the best defenses six times this year. They're going to be going up against Cleveland twice. They're going to be going up against Pittsburgh twice, and they're going to be going up against Baltimore twice. So like at that cost, if you're to choose, like I'm going to choose the Rams 10 out of 10 times.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I love
I think that's a great point that cannot be overlooked about the AFC North. Like, I mean,
I mean, three of the top 10 defenses coming into the year expected to be.
Yeah.
Cleveland,
and potentially, I think the Steelers are going to run the ball a lot more too. So I think you're literally looking at three of the top, or whatever you want to say, bottom run heaviest teams in the league. So just
and the Ravens don't run.
Well, any other like main takeaway we can break?
It was a joke, Bun.
I know. No, I got it. It's just I was in the middle of a galaxy transition, so I couldn't really provide color or take it anywhere. What are some other just final high level thoughts here when we can? I mean, I cannot wait to. I mean, there are going to be some great Instagram posts in here. I'm going to make a great graphic with some of these stacks. But like just, we got the DK. I didn't see some of this. What's up, Dave? Hey, Red Fox.
Is that Dave over there, TMZ?
Yeah, TMZ over here. I lured him over with.
Wow, look at this fucking setup here. Like, what are you losing?
I'll show you.
Oh God, I can hear him.
You know,
hear him in the audio.
Hold on, I'll take these headphones off.
Oh, he's got a little Logi camera. Why don't you just use your camera?
TMZ, get that face on the screen.
I got you. There we go. Should work now.
Yeah. So I mean, really, key takeaways specifically
needs
for
to hear this.
Yeah. So I'm gonna scroll right through these because I had already broken them out, and it's pretty much everything that we just hit on, Josh.
Yeah, we're just shitting on them. Go ahead, Rob.
But so I mean, for cost of stacking teams, I mean, you're really talking about. I mean, the most expensive. Actually, no, I don't want to hit on this again because I just really don't want to have to run through it.
I mean, I just think like if we can just get some of these out there, just having this as a draft resource, just one thing there, it's like know when to get guys and to just look at all the different teammates by ADP. Yeah, I don't know how many stacks we have, but just seeing those ADPs and the discrepancies that should not be there. Tampa Bay and Buffalo from a team standpoint. Wow.
Yeah. So very, very high level main takeaways for stacks of costs or team stacks that we like that are inexpensive are Indianapolis and Miami. They're both in the bottom 10.
Yes.
7th. No, I mean an average of an eighth or seventh to eighth round to be able to stack the teams. Then largest discrepancies in value to target, Tampa Bay, and both Buffalo. I mean, as a team, the first 4 picks, they're being drafted as the 19th and 20th, when last year they were the 3rd and 4th highest fantasy producing teams. And also, just an additional note on that is both of those teams are top 5 in expectations or in best odds to win the Super Bowl next year. So there's not expected to be much fallout. Green Bay is properly priced in with Aaron Rodgers leaving. Uncertainty at quarterback for the Saints, properly priced in at number 22. The Arizona Cardinals are a nice value, being priced as the 15th.
Oh yeah.
15th most expensive team. And we think that they're going to be a top 5 offense. So, I mean, you're talking about a 3x return based off of ADP. What else? And the 2 hype pieces that are extremely expensive are the Rams, which we like still because of construction, and also Cincinnati, which we don't like, which has the same construction build as the Rams. However, they're going to be having a much more difficult road to this year with the AFC North.
Yeah, I think Cincy is just a skinny stack. It may be just turning into a skinny stack type situation, just from I don't know. I mean,
quad stack that.
I don't see many shootouts.
Cincinnati to me is a just fallback. It's just you missed early. You missed early in the draft. They're a nice fallback because you're able to. I mean, if you don't get Chase in the 4th round or early 5th, which is crazy, then you're able to get Higgins in the late 5th, early 6th, or Boyd 6th, 7th, and then you just get Joe Burrow in the 8th.
Yeah, and I guess all I'll say is, just to wrap up the discussion about like the good defenses and the run heavy teams, at the same time, Ravens and the Browns, like, we do expect them to have good offenses. So maybe it's just a case where they're scoring points. Cincinnati still has to throw a shitload. They're already like one of the pass heaviest teams. So it's like kind of end up not quite splitting hairs. I'm still kind of worried. I think there's better conditions, like definitely the Rams, definitely the Cardinals. That division's way better from just a game environment standpoint. But at the same time, let's not just dismiss the idea of high scoring games in general, even if they're through the run, because Cincinnati's defense is terrible still.
No, that is a good point. I was more so just nitpicking at the hairs. If I
for sure,
if I had to pick between the Rams and Cincinnati, why my heavy, not biased at all, lean towards the Rams.
Yes. Okay, well, this has been a goddamn gold mine.